Dr. Eliza Carter, a physicist with a reputation for pushing the boundaries of knowledge, sat alone in her small, cluttered lab at the Mars Research Facility. The soft hum of machines filled the air, a steady rhythm that usually calmed her mind. But tonight, something was different. She had been staring at her screens for hours, tracing patterns in data that were too unusual to ignore. The equation she was working on, an attempt to understand the fundamental structure of space-time, was about to unveil something beyond her wildest expectations. At first, it had seemed like a simple mistake, a glitch in the system maybe. But the more she examined the anomaly, the more it seemed to speak to her. It was not a mistake. It was a signal, a message from the very fabric of reality itself. Every part of the equation, every twist and turn in the data, defied known laws of physics. The laws that had governed the universe for centuries, suddenly, seemed irrelevant in the face of this new discovery. Eliza's heart raced as she ran the calculations again, each result more baffling and more promising than the last. The anomaly hinted at something vast, something capable of changing everything. An energy source hidden in the depths of space-time. A force that could fuel entire galaxies, perhaps even shape the universe itself. Eliza was not one to be easily shaken, but the weight of what she had stumbled upon was overwhelming. Could it really be true? Was she on the verge of understanding the one thing that had eluded every great mind before her? As the hours passed and the data continued to match up, her excitement grew. She could hardly believe it. She was standing on the edge of a discovery that could rewrite the very laws of existence. But there was a problem. The other scientists, the ones she had worked alongside for years, were not convinced. When Eliza shared her findings with them, they reacted with a mix of doubt and disbelief. They couldn't see what she saw. They couldn't understand the magnitude of what was unfolding in front of them. To them, it was just an anomaly, a statistical anomaly that would eventually be explained away. "It's just a glitch, Eliza. You're reading too much into this," one of her colleagues said, shaking his head. Eliza wanted to argue, to tell them they were missing something vital, but she knew there was no point. They had their own methods, their own theories, and her breakthrough was nothing more than a disruption to their comfortable understanding of the universe. Still, she couldn't let go. She knew she had found something important, something that could change the course of human history. With every test, with every calculation, her belief grew stronger. No one else seemed to care, but Eliza couldn't stop herself. She was driven, almost obsessed. It was as if the discovery had found her, not the other way around. She had to see it through, no matter the cost. There was too much at stake, too much potential for humanity to ignore. As she sat there, staring at the glowing numbers on her screen, she realized something. This was more than just a breakthrough in physics. It was a chance to prove that humanity, the small, often overlooked species on Earth, had the power to change the universe. While the alien civilizations of the galaxy had mastered advanced technologies and understood mysteries that humans could only dream of, none of them had come close to what Eliza had uncovered. She wasn't just making history. She was on the cusp of creating a new future. The universe had always been a place of endless mystery, but Eliza Carter was about to shatter its boundaries, one discovery at a time. The future was in her hands, and she was determined to show the galaxy that humanity was capable of more than anyone had ever imagined. After weeks of calculating and refining her work, Eliza Carter's discovery was finally ready to be shared with the wider universe. She had dubbed it the Carter equation, and it predicted the existence of a boundless energy source hidden within the very fabric of space-time, a force that could revolutionize the way civilizations harness power. It wasn't just an energy source, it was a gateway to the unimaginable, a resource that could fuel entire galaxies, sustain civilizations for eons, and even reshape the fundamental forces of nature. The possibilities were endless. For centuries, Humanity had been chasing the dream of limitless energy, but this discovery promised to offer something far beyond that. It was as if Eliza had unlocked the key to creation itself. With a mix of excitement and caution, Eliza reached out to the Galactic Federation, a coalition of powerful and highly advanced alien species that spanned the stars. Her message was clear. Humanity had found something that could change the entire balance of the cosmos. She sent the Carter equation to the highest-ranking scientists and officials, hoping that they would see the significance of her work. To her surprise, the initial response was less than enthusiastic. The Federation had long been skeptical of humans, viewing them as primitive compared to the long-established civilizations that dominated the galaxy. And so, when Eliza's discovery was first shared, it was met with dismissal. "Impossible," said one of the leading scientists, an elderly Vokrian from a star system light years away. "No human has ever made a claim like this. Your data is incomplete, flawed." Others were quick to join in, pointing out that while humans were certainly capable in some areas, the science behind Eliza's work seemed too audacious to be real. Even within the scientific community of Earth, many felt the same. But Eliza wasn't disheartened. She knew that this discovery was no ordinary breakthrough. She had seen the data with her own eyes. The equations, the patterns, everything pointed to the same conclusion. There was a hidden energy in the vast emptiness between stars, a power that no one had ever thought to look for. Yet, despite the skepticism, Eliza didn't give up. She persisted, reaching out to independent researchers, eager to have the Carter equation validated by others. Slowly but surely, the results began to speak for themselves. Scientists from across the Federation, curious and cautious, began running their own experiments using Eliza's data. Some dismissed it outright, while others conducted their tests with a growing sense of unease. The breakthrough, it seemed, couldn't be ignored for long. It wasn't long before the Federation's perspective began to shift. The first independent results came back, and they were clear. The Carter equation was legitimate. The energy Eliza had predicted was real. It existed in the gaps of space-time, waiting to be tapped, harnessed, and understood. The implications were enormous. If this energy source could be accessed, it would change everything. No more energy shortages, no more war over resources, no more limits to what could be achieved. Entire star systems could flourish, powered by an abundance of energy. For the first time in history, humanity was standing on the threshold of something truly extraordinary. The Federation's attitude toward humanity began to change rapidly. The dismissive tones gave way to cautious admiration, and then to open acknowledgement. A species once seen as insignificant had now made a discovery that rivaled the greatest achievements of the oldest civilizations. It was a moment of realization that humans were no longer just passengers in the galactic community. They were innovators, creators, and leaders in their own right. As the news of the Carter equation spread through the stars, Eliza's name became known far beyond the walls of her research facility on Mars. Her work was no longer a mere scientific curiosity. It was a game changer, one that had the potential to reshape the future of the galaxy itself. Yet, as the Federation acknowledged her genius, Eliza couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The universe had been shaken, but the real test was still ahead. How would the galaxy react to this newfound power? Would it be embraced, or would it become a tool for conflict? Eliza knew one thing for certain. Humanity had just made its mark, and it wouldn't be easily erased. As Eliza's discovery of the Carter equation spread across the stars, the galaxy erupted in a whirlwind of reaction. The implications of her work were far-reaching, and the different alien species of the Galactic Federation each had their own take on the news. Some were intrigued by the possibility of harnessing this new energy, seeing it as a chance to push their civilizations to new heights. Others, however, were deeply cautious, recognizing the power Eliza had unlocked and the danger that such a discovery could pose if mishandled. But none of the reactions were as chilling as the message humanity received from the Eolorians, a race of alien beings known for their extraordinary ability to manipulate space-time itself. The Eolorians had observed Eliza's breakthrough and, to their surprise, found something they could not easily replicate. They were intrigued by her work, but their interest was far from innocent. Their message was clear and unwavering. They wanted access to the Carter equation, and they intended to study it under their own control. At first, the request was presented as an academic pursuit, a desire to learn from humanity's newfound knowledge. But it quickly became apparent that their intentions were far darker. The Eolorians, with their advanced technology and immense power, were not interested in a fair exchange. They wanted to dominate, to hold the key to this energy source in their hands, and they made it known that humanity had no choice but to comply. They insisted that Earth share all the data related to the Carter equation or face dire consequences. Eliza, however, wasn't fooled by their diplomatic words. She saw through their thinly veiled threats. The Eolorians had spent centuries controlling and manipulating the knowledge of the universe for their own benefit, and they saw humanity's discovery as a challenge to their power. She knew that giving them control of such a profound discovery would be disastrous. Eliza had always believed that science should serve the good of all, not be hoarded by a select few who would use it for their own gain. But the stakes were much higher than she had imagined. The situation grew tense as the Eolorians ramped up, their demands insisting that the knowledge of the Carter equation must be shared with them, or they would take it by force. They had already begun to deploy ships near Earth's orbit, their towering vessels a stark reminder of the power they wielded. Governments and interstellar leaders urged Eliza to consider the broader consequences. Some suggested that humanity had no choice but to negotiate. After all, the Eolorians were not a species to be taken lightly. They could wipe out entire fleets with a flick of their fingers, and they had no hesitation in doing so. But Eliza refused to back down. She understood the potential for good that her discovery held, and she would not allow it to fall into the hands of a species who would use it for control and subjugation. However, what the Eolorians didn't know was that Eliza had been working on something even more extraordinary in secret. As she had pored over the Carter equation, she had realized there was a deeper layer to the theory, a hidden aspect of the discovery that could potentially give humanity an advantage over the Eolorians. This second layer of her work could allow humanity to manipulate space-time in ways that the Eolorians themselves had never dreamed of. It was an idea she had kept to herself, fearing that it might be too dangerous or too powerful to reveal. But now, as the Eolorians' threats grew more insistent, she realized that this hidden aspect might be humanity's only hope. She had a secret weapon, one that could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. As the Eolorians' ships loomed closer, Eliza stood at the crossroads of an impossible choice. Would she share her discovery with the galaxy, or would she hold on to this final piece of knowledge and risk everything to keep humanity's future in its own hands? The tension was unbearable, and the weight of the decision pressed down on her. She knew that whatever she chose, the universe would never be the same. Eliza had never expected to uncover what she did. Her next experiment, intended to refine the Carter equation, took an unexpected turn. As she dove deeper into her data, something remarkable happened. The equation began to reveal fragments of something much older, an ancient theory buried beneath the surface of space-time itself, as though it had been etched into the very structure of the universe. It was as if the universe had been waiting for someone to unlock it, to uncover a hidden key buried deep within the laws of reality. These fragments spoke of something that transcended energy, something that could create, shape, and manipulate entire galaxies. The more Eliza worked, the more pieces of this forgotten theory she uncovered. It wasn't just about harnessing energy. It was about bending the universe itself to one's will. The knowledge was encoded in ways she couldn't fully comprehend. Yet there it was, shimmering in the data like a star waiting to be born. As Eliza's understanding grew, so did the weight of her discovery. She had thought the Carter equation was the pinnacle of her research, but it was merely the first step toward something far more profound. This ancient theory had been lost to time, a relic from a civilization long gone. Yet it was so advanced, so perfectly integrated into the very fabric of the cosmos, that Eliza felt as if she were tapping into something that had always been there, waiting for the right mind to decipher it. And that mind, she realized with a chill, was hers. What she discovered next shook her to the core. Humanity, not the Eolorians or any other species, was the key to unlocking this power. The theory itself seemed to hint at a strange truth. Only a species with the potential to evolve, to reach beyond its natural limits, could access this hidden knowledge. The Eolorians, with all their technological prowess, could never have uncovered it. The universe had been designed with a certain order, an order that required a species like humanity to unlock its deepest mysteries. It was a revelation that sent a shiver down Eliza's spine. She had always believed that humanity had untapped potential, but this discovery proved it. The potential wasn't just for survival or technological advancement. It was for something much greater. Humanity was not only capable of surviving in the universe, they were destined to reshape it. But the weight of this knowledge came with a heavy burden. Eliza knew that if she revealed this discovery to the world, or worse, to the galaxy, it could lead to unprecedented power. The Carter equation and the hidden theory were both a gift and a curse. In the wrong hands, it could be used to create unimaginable destruction. Humanity's potential to shape entire galaxies could just as easily be twisted into a weapon of devastating power. Eliza's thoughts raced. She had no doubt that the Eolorians would stop at nothing to control this new knowledge. If they gained access to the full theory, they would have the ability to reshape the universe as they saw fit, bending entire star systems to their will, extinguishing civilizations at a whim. The power to manipulate the very structure of reality itself was too dangerous to be trusted to any one race, especially one with such a history of control and conquest. But keeping the discovery hidden also posed risks. Humanity was not yet ready to wield such power, Eliza feared. She had seen how quickly ambition could turn into obsession. Could humans be trusted with the knowledge of creation itself? Would they use it for prosperity? Or to dominate? Or worse, would they destroy themselves in the process? With every passing hour, Eliza's uncertainty grew. She had unlocked a force that could change the course of human history, but now she had to decide whether to share it with the world or keep it locked away forever. The future of the galaxy, and perhaps the universe itself, rested in her hands. The hidden key had been found. Now, the question was whether Eliza would open the door. As the tension surrounding Eliza's discovery of the Carter equation escalated, a new, unexpected conflict began to unfold on Earth. Within the halls of power, a splinter faction of humanity's political leaders, concerned that the newfound knowledge could lead to their own destruction, began to push for an alliance with the Eolorians. These leaders, aware of the Eolorians' advanced technology and vast power, believed that the only way for humanity to survive in an increasingly perilous universe was to secure their protection. They saw the Eolorians as a necessary safeguard against other alien threats and a valuable partner who could help guide humanity through the unknown dangers of the cosmos. The alliance, they argued, could give humanity access to the knowledge and technology needed to rise above its limitations. For them, the partnership was a practical solution to an uncertain future. But Eliza saw the situation in an entirely different light. She knew the Eolorians too well. Their interest in the Carter equation was not born out of benevolence. It was about control. If humanity were to fall into their hands, the Eolorians would undoubtedly use the knowledge to dominate, not just Earth, but potentially the entire galaxy. Eliza had already seen their willingness to threaten humanity in order to gain control of her discovery. To entrust them with such immense power would be to surrender Earth's autonomy and freedom. The more she thought about the decision before her, the more she became overwhelmed with doubt. Should she give in to the pressure from the political leaders who believed the alliance was necessary for survival? Or should she keep the discovery hidden, safeguarding humanity from both external threats and the potential dangers of its own reckless ambition? As the political debates raged on, Eliza's internal conflict deepened. She knew that by keeping the knowledge to herself, she could protect humanity from exploitation. But was that the right thing to do? Could she be trusted to make such a monumental decision alone? The question of control was not just political. It was a matter of the soul of humanity. Eliza had discovered the key to creating and manipulating entire galaxies. But the question now was whether humanity was ready to bear such responsibility. The knowledge she held could change the course of history, but it could also lead to mankind's downfall. What if the leaders who sought the alliance with the Eolorians were right? The universe was a dangerous place, and if humanity did not align itself with more powerful civilizations, it could risk extinction. What would it mean to trust others with the discovery, knowing that there was a possibility it could be exploited? The war over control of the Carter equation quickly evolved into more than just a political struggle. It was a fight for the essence of what humanity stood for. Some argued that an alliance with the Eolorians could ensure the survival of the human race in a universe where they were vastly outmatched. Others, including Eliza, saw it as a dangerous compromise that could turn Earth into nothing more than a puppet in a larger cosmic game. The fate of humanity no longer rested solely on whether the knowledge could be shared. It was about what kind of future Earth would have. Would it be a future shaped by freedom, creativity, and self-determination? Or would it be one dominated by the shadows of alien powers, with Earth's leaders ceding control to those who would use the knowledge for their own ends? The world seemed to be teetering on the edge of a precipice. Eliza's name had become synonymous with both hope and fear. As the political factions fought for control, Eliza couldn't help but wonder if humanity was truly ready to face the consequences of its own potential. Could they use the power she had unlocked for good? Or would they fall prey to their own worst instincts? She could already hear the voices of those who would use the discovery for domination, and those who would try to protect it. The battle for the future of humanity was underway, and Eliza knew that no matter what decision she made, the outcome would change the fate of not only Earth, but the galaxy itself. As the political storm on Earth reached its peak, a new and far more dangerous threat emerged from the depths of space. The Zor-Kar, a race unlike anything the galaxy had ever encountered, arrived with terrifying precision. Their ships, vast and silent, appeared in the sky like shadows of doom. Unlike the Eolorians or any other known civilization, the Zor-Kar were not simply advanced, they were incomprehensible, their technology and power beyond human or even alien understanding. The first sign of their presence was a demonstration that sent chills through the hearts of all who witnessed it. In a matter of seconds, an entire fleet of warships, once considered invulnerable, was reduced to nothing but smoldering ruins, destroyed by a force so overwhelming it defied explanation. The message was clear. The Zor-Kar were not to be underestimated. They were a race of conquerors, and they did not tolerate threats to their reign over the cosmos. As the Zor-Kar made their demands known, it became painfully clear that humanity's discovery of the Carter equation had drawn the attention of a force that viewed the knowledge not as a gift, but as a weapon, one that could challenge their absolute control of the galaxy. The Zor-Kar saw humanity's potential as a direct threat to their power. They knew the secret Eliza had uncovered, the ability to manipulate space-time, to create and destroy at a scale never before possible. And they wanted it. They demanded not only the Carter equation, but the entire ancient theory that Eliza had been piecing together. In their eyes, humanity's place in the universe was insignificant, and the knowledge of creation and destruction belonged to them alone. The Zorkar made no threats. They simply took action, demonstrating that their power was so vast that resistance was futile. It wasn't just a matter of survival anymore. It was a matter of whether humanity had the will to fight back against this overwhelming force, or whether they would fall under the shadow of the Zorkar. The fate of Earth and all of humanity now rested entirely on Eliza's shoulders. She had uncovered the hidden key to shaping the cosmos, but she had never imagined that the stakes would be this high. The Zorkar were a force unlike any other, their presence so overwhelming that it seemed almost impossible to comprehend. Every moment of hesitation felt like it could be humanity's last. She had thought the political struggle over the Carter equation was the ultimate test, but this was something else entirely. The Zorkar weren't interested in diplomacy. They had no interest in alliances or negotiations. They had come for the knowledge, and if humanity refused to hand it over, they would make an example of Earth, erasing any trace of humanity's existence from the galaxy. Eliza knew that giving the Zorkar the Carter equation would mean the end of humanity's autonomy. It would mean the end of everything she had worked for, everything humanity had struggled to achieve. The potential for good that the Carter equation held would be lost, forever twisted into a tool for destruction. But fighting the Zorkar was an entirely different matter. Their technology was far beyond anything humanity had, and their power was unimaginable. The idea of facing them in battle seemed hopeless. Eliza had to make a choice, but it wasn't just about humanity's survival. It was about humanity's soul. Would they hand over the knowledge and submit to the Zorkar's reign? Or would they stand their ground, knowing the cost of defiance might be extinction? As the Zorkar's demands grew more urgent and their presence more suffocating, Eliza felt the weight of her discovery pressing on her like never before. This wasn't just a scientific breakthrough. It was a weapon, and it was hers to wield. The universe was watching, and humanity was standing at a crossroads. Eliza knew that this was her ultimate test. She had unlocked the secrets of the universe, but now she had to decide whether to use that power to protect humanity, or whether to risk everything, including Earth itself, to ensure that humanity remained free. The Zorkar had made their move. Now, Eliza had to make hers. In the face of humanity's greatest crisis, Eliza stood at the brink of an impossible decision. The Zorkar had made their intentions clear, and Earth's future seemed more uncertain with each passing moment. Their overwhelming power had already shattered any hope of peaceful negotiations. The galaxy's most powerful force had descended, and humanity was at their mercy. But Eliza had one final idea, a last gamble, something no one expected. The Carter equation wasn't just a path to understanding the fabric of space-time. It was a gateway to the unimaginable. Eliza realized that, with enough control, she could weaponize the universal energy contained within the equation. But instead of using it to annihilate, as the Zorkar would have done, she envisioned a different kind of power. What if, instead of destruction, she could create a force strong enough to protect Earth? Eliza worked tirelessly, pushing her understanding of the equation to its limits. In her lab, with the weight of the entire world on her shoulders, she focused on one goal: to forge a shield, a protective barrier that would not only safeguard Earth from the Zorkar's lethal weaponry, but also disrupt their technological advantage. It was a daunting task, one that required every ounce of her intellect and determination. But the more she worked, the more she realized the magnitude of her discovery. The equation could reshape reality itself, bend it to humanity's will. And so, instead of crafting a weapon of destruction, Eliza created a force field that could manipulate space-time in such a way that it neutralized the Zorkar's advanced weaponry, rendering their weapons useless. It was a move that no one, not even the Eolorians, had anticipated. The moment Eliza activated the shield, the results were immediate and breathtaking. a massive energy field enveloped the planet, shimmering with a brilliance that defied logic. The Zorkar, expecting to strike Earth down with ease, found their weapons suddenly ineffective. Their massive warships, which had once seemed invincible, became nothing more than motionless statues, their energy systems disrupted by the field Eliza had created. The Zorkar tried to retaliate, launching attack after attack, but the shield held firm. Their advanced technology, no matter how sophisticated, could not pierce the protective barrier that Eliza had forged. Earth had not only survived, it had demonstrated its ability to stand against the most terrifying force in the universe. The battle wasn't just about survival. It was about proving to the universe that humanity was far from the fragile, helpless species others had once believed it to be. For the first time, humanity's place in the cosmic order was no longer defined by vulnerability or insignificance. The universe had watched as Eliza's discovery turned the tide of the conflict, and it was forced to reconsider its view of the human race. No longer would Earth be a pawn in the games of more powerful civilizations. Humanity had proven that, armed with intellect, ingenuity, and sheer determination, it could face the universe's greatest challenges and emerge victorious. The Zorkar, stunned by the unexpected turn of events, were forced to retreat, their pride and their power shattered by the resilience of a species they had underestimated. In the aftermath, as the shield continued to pulse around Earth, the galaxy was left in awe. Eliza's discovery, once a simple scientific breakthrough, had altered the balance of power in ways no one could have predicted. The cosmic order, once unshakable, had been irrevocably changed. Eliza's triumph was not just in saving Earth, it was in showing the universe that humanity's potential was limitless. No longer would it be seen as a fragile species, caught between the stars, but as a force capable of reshaping reality itself. The foundations of the universe had been shaken, and a new era had begun. Humanity had proven that it could not only survive in the vast, dangerous cosmos, but thrive, standing shoulder to shoulder with civilizations far older and more powerful. The Zorkar had learned a hard lesson: never underestimate the power of human intellect, resilience, and will. And as the stars above shone brighter than ever, Earth stood at the precipice of a new age, an age where humanity's role in the universe was no longer defined by its weakness, but by its strength.